Hi there, my name is Rosemary Engelstad and I'm the clarinet professor at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. And in this little video, I will perform an excerpt from Grainger's Lincolnshire Posy, the Brisk Young Sailor. And then afterwards, I will give you a few tips for how to prepare your excerpt. Well, I think I got most of the notes in there. This one's kind of tricky because it has a lot of technique, a lot of finger facility, but it also has a lot of articulation, a lot of rhythmic challenges, and just a character that's totally different from the other excerpts you have for the PMEA All-State audition. My biggest tip for you with this one is when you get to the sextuplets, you want to still play them in time. So really pick a tempo that will allow you to play those cleanly somewhat, and to also play them as clear sextuplets. So if you start the beginning of this excerpt too fast, you will find yourself having to slow down when you get to the tough stuff. And you want to avoid that as much as possible, because in a real life situation, you would have to play no matter what, right? So for that playthrough that I did for you, I did 100 beats per minute. It may go a little faster in a performance situation, but 100 is a nice, steady, manageable tempo. So when you get to the sextuplets, a way to practice it would be to put your metronome on the eighth note subdivision so that you can really work on making them even. I'm going to slow it down just a little bit. So that's a nice tempo to start to really feel the evenness of the sextuplets. The next thing that really helps is to look for patterns. For example, 3 after 17, there's this pattern where you start on C, and then the next eighth note starts on B. So see, it's really just a scale. And then the second half of those sextuplets has this pattern. So it's a really obvious pattern also descending down the scale. So when you put it together, it's a lot easier to find that pattern, and instead of trying to read it every time as something new and challenging. So I kind of break it up like that and change the rhythm just to make it a little different than just. And you're also keeping yourself a little more relaxed while you practice it slowly, so as you speed it up, you don't have a lot of unnecessary tension kind of making your fingers lock and holding you back. So this pattern applies again, this looking for patterns applies again to before 25. So you have these nice arpeggios that you are outlining. Just slow it down, find the pattern, mark where you need to use middle finger, mark where you have leaps that confuse you, get to know the pattern. And then one before 25, you have another ascending scale. And then a partial chromatic scale. So look for patterns, subdivide at the eighth. For the opening of this excerpt, articulation, articulation. Make it as sprightly as possible. And really make a difference between your staccato and your tenuto. Okay? And then finally, wherever Grainger marks a crescendo or a change in dynamics, really do it, really exaggerate it, because when he wrote it, he really meant it and he wanted it to stand out. So again, that also applies to the articulation when he writes staccato, non-legato. These are short articulation markings. So there's a lot of detail in this one, but slow, even, consistent tempo throughout, and you will have it in no time. Good luck.